Hello, everyone. We're Group 11. We're here to present tobacco and cancer. My name is Valentina Rivero.
I'm Winnie Zhu.
Carlos Hernandez.
My name is Madison Furking.
First, I'm going to talk about tobacco and cancer. Carcinogens are agents that are capable to cause cancer. Carcinogens happen in different ways. They can happen spontaneously or they can be caused by external situations developed by humans, like the cigarettes. Some of the spontaneous ways it can happen, it's because of smoke that is in the air, caused by air pollution or fabrics or things that are in the air. Tobacco is a plant that contains nicotine with addictive chemicals, and it is used for people to smoke. The nicotine, it is addictive, so it makes people want to smoke more and more every time. The tobacco plants can be found in Brazil, Zimbabwe, or Indonesia. And some people do it because of their culture or because of the nicotine, they can get rid of it. Some chemicals found in the tobacco are carcinomic and they produce cancer by mechanisms of targeting specific cells. During this presentation, we will be talking about the pathogenesis, the mechanisms, the environmental risk, the lung cancer, and we found two articles that were important to discuss in the presentation.
Okay, starting off with lung cancer, I will provide an overview of what it is. Lung cancer is a serious health condition characterized by the uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells within the lungs. It is a tumor that originates in the bronchi that is known as bronchogenic. The disease is a major reason why people worldwide die from cancer. Research and understanding reveal that lung cancer is among the top causes of death from cancer. According to the WHO article, smoking continues to be the leading cause of lung cancer, responsible for approximately 30 to 40% of the cases. Now let's discuss other factors that contribute to lung cancer, such as long-term exposure to environmental carcinogens, including radon, asbestos, and air pollution. Radon exposure occurs due to a radioactive gas that accumulates in homes, particularly in older buildings. Air pollution refers to the small particles found in the air, increasing the likelihood of developing lung cancer. There's also family history that plays a role, like conditions such as COPD and pulmonary fibrosis that can increase the risk of lung cancer by causing damage to the lung tissue. Moving on, small cell lung cancer accounts for about 50% of lung cancers and is characterized by rapid growth and early metastasis. There are symptoms commonly associated with lung cancer that include persistent coughing, coughing up blood, chest pain, and weight loss. There are also treatment options that include surgery to remove the tumor and surrounding tissue, and an immunotherapy that is a treatment that helps the immune system recognize and attack cancer cells. There is also a staging part where the stage of the distribution determines the classification of the lung cancer. For example, small cell lung cancer is classified as either limited, which can spread to one lung, or extensive, which can spread to other areas of the body, whereas non-small cell lung cancer is staged from stage 1, that is localized, to stage 4, metastatic. Staging assists in outcome predictions and treatment guidance. This graph shows that males have higher lung cancer incidence and death rates than females. The age-adjusted incidence rate for males is 54.1 per 100,000 compared to 45.5 for females. Similarly, the death rate is 35.2 for males and 25.9 for females. These rates are based on U.S. cancer statistics from 2024.
Here we have impact of society and public health. Tobacco use leads to many health consequences in the long run. According to WHO, the use of tobacco is responsible for more than 8 million causes of health issue all over the world. Some of the diseases it can cause are lung cancers, heart disease, and respiratory illness. These are the top 3 diseases people who smoke start to experience in the future. Smoking harms lungs and heart health, leading to many complications such as COPD, bronchitis, heart attacks, and many more. Starting off, I will describe what smoking is. Smoking is when you inhale harmful chemicals, one of which is tobacco. This is important to bring awareness to everyone because being able to discuss it can lead to preventable diseases and cancer. COPD happens to people that smoke because it will cause an inflammation and it do damage in the air sac, eventually leading to someone having a hard time breathing on their own. Bronchitis and smoke cough are symptoms that many smoke show up. No, smoke leading the body to produce an overload of mucus. When it comes to heart attacks and strokes, according to CDC, this is being shown more often when smokers are harming their vascular system. This is because their blood vessels are being clogged with blood clots. An article by CDC did an experiment showed how badly smokers are affecting healthcare, such as increased healthcare costs, along with putting a heavy duty on many hospitals worldwide. They have also discovered that children and pregnant women that are being exposed to a person that smokes can lead to younger children to develop breathing problems down the line, such as asthma. Asthma rates have increased as much as 20% over every year due to being around someone that smokes. In 2020, WHO did a study that shows kids that are currently being exposed to smoke eventually will have difficult breathing and develop behavior issues. Also, for pregnant women that are exposed to smoke, studies have shown it can cause premature infants to develop health challenges later on in life. Public health advantages that can help bring awareness into the community can also put up campaigns that inform the public about all the damage they are doing to their body when they smoke. Support programs can also be another great way to spread awareness by providing counseling and therapies to those in need. Here we have statistics of death and consumption of tobacco throughout the years. To the left, there is a graph that shows from 2019 to 2022, there has been an increase, especially when it comes to younger people smoking age that range from 18 to 24-year-olds during that year. It has been shown that increased by 15.3%. Along with this diagram, there is also a potential harm of reduction. While researchers have done tests, according to the CDC, e-cigarettes are slightly healthier than smoking tobacco, but it can also carry the same risk in the long run. To the right, this table will show the percentage of cancer death that contributes to smoking. According to the data that's being provided by WHO, it has highlighted an increase of 36% of death in mostly male worldwide, and there's a 12% increase in female death. Many people have wondered why men are being affected way more than females, and for these reasons, it could be higher smoking towards men among their culture. It can also be places that they work as, such as construction, building homes, that are being exposed to a smoking environment. Okay, here we have environmental factors. Secondhand smoke is directly related to tobacco as it consists of the smoke that is being inhaled by a smoker, where it comes from the burning end of the tobacco product. With this being said, when a smoker inhales and exhales, the smoke particles are being released into the air with toxic substance. As for a non-smoker, this is bad for their health as it could cause respiratory problems for certain people. Next, we have third-hand smoke, which is a residue nicotine and other chemicals left on the surface after the tobacco is being used. As this residue can stay on the walls, clothes, and even on human hair, when children are being around the substance, they are being attached to the wall. It can pose as a health risk for especially younger children. And for the third, we have tobacco farming and parasites. When it comes to tobacco farming, it often has to do with many parasites as it plays a huge role in the farmers' health. And according to an article by WHO, it has provided that 40% of all farmers that plant tobacco eventually lead to them having acute poisoning and long-term health issues. Fourth, we have air pollution and combustion. It is a harmful substance in the atmosphere that can affect human health, such as PM. And these are tiny particles that are in the air and which may come from dust and smoke. Sulfide dioxide is also from burning fuels, which can eventually lead to respiratory problems. And then for the sixth, random is a naturally occurring radiation gas that can also be found in soil, rocks, and water. According to an article written by WHO, random is colorless, odorless, and tasteless, making it difficult to detect without proper equipment. Being exposed it for a long time, it can increase the risk of lung cancer and making it a health risk. Here we have pathogenesis. Tobacco smoke contains over 70,000 chemicals known as carcinogens, which may be known as a cancer-causing substance. Some of these harmful chemicals may include benzene and hydrogen carbon, causing the cells to get inflated. Carcinogen studies have shown that it could do DNA damage. This is resulting in the mutation that can cause cancer. This is because when tobacco smoke is being inhaled and millions of carcinogens are entering the bloodstream, leading them straight entry into the various cells all throughout the body. This has the ability to bind to DNA forming, making it into DNA adduct, affecting the structure in the long run. TP53 is a tumor suppressor gene, which is also known to help the body to form tumors. With that being said, when tobacco smokes enter the body, TP53 is being mutated along with it. It gives the ability to control cell growth along with doing damage over time, making it difficult for your own cells to control cell division, resulting in an increased risk of cancer. KRAS plays a huge role in this too because when they are in charge of signaling. When signaling pathway starts to get mutated, it will have a difficult time promoting cells to survive and leading it to tumor growth. And to the right, we have a diagram that shows a molecular mechanism by which a tobacco smokes, leading it to liver carcinogens. This diagram will also show the direct and indirect effect when it enters the bloodstream. If we see to the top left of the diagram, here it will show us the reactive oxygen species, also known as ROS, that are triggering liver damage. When someone smokes tobacco and enters their body, it will generate ROS, leading it to an effect of oxidative stress and lipid peroxidation. Toward the middle of the diagram, there is an image of iron overload. This will lead to excessive scar tissue called fibrosis that will eventually damage the function of the liver. Towards the end of the graph, it shows an image of a red blood cell dysfunction. This is because when smoke is being inhaled, our COHB levels will start to increase, impairing the oxygen transportation in blood cells. The increase of red blood cells will also increase blood velocity, leading to someone eventually having vascular complication later on in life.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about the toxic components. I made a chart of the 7 most toxic components that belong to the group 1A, which means that they're leading to toxic to humans. The first 3 are hydrocarbons, and they cause errors in the DNA replication. Causing errors in the DNA replication makes the chemicals to bind the DNA, and this can lead to errors which lead to mutations. The next 3, which are aromatic amines, they metabolic activation of the liver can convert them in harmful, and they have a mutation in the TP53, which causes the DNA damage. They become harmful after activation in the liver, and they can cause bladder cancer because after the exposure of the chemicals, they accumulate in the bladder and then they are excreted by the urine. Lastly, there's acyclic and nitroamines, and they activate the cytochrome P450 interference in signaling pathways. Some of the signaling pathways are ERK12, which regulates cell growth, cell division, immune responses, and the cells become very specific for the tissues. Like here is where the cell knows to what tissue go. Also, they help with inflammation. The P1, the PI3K or ACT, it's in charge of cell growth and protein synthesis, and they are also in the mTOR pathway that regulates the cellular metabolism. Now I'm gonna talk about the mechanism of how tobacco causes cancer. The key point here is the DNA adducts, which means that it's a DNA that has been chemically altered. The first component, if we can see, is nicotine, and it can happen in different ways. The nicotine will have a receptor binding, then the receptor binding will do an AKT and PKA activation and other changes. This will cause to decrease the apoptosis, so no cells are being degraded, and it will increase the angiogenesis and the transformation of the cells, which will lead to lung cancer. Another pathway will be nicotine. When you smoke the cigarette, from smoking the cigarette, it can go to carcinogens or it can go to co-carcinogens that are tumor promoters. This is an easier pathway because it goes through the tumor promoters, then PKC, AP1 activation, and the other changes. It will have carcinogenicity, and then it will lead to the lung cancer. If is the last pathway, cigarette smoking will transform in carcinogens. These carcinogens can be activated, or they can pass through metabolic detoxification, will lead to an excretion of the carcinogens, and no longer mutation will happen. But if it happens, it will activate, and then it will bind, those chemicals will bind to the DNA adducts, which can persist the miscoding of changes in TP53, P16, which are crucial genes, and this will cause the lung cancer. It can also happen that the DNA gets repaired, and it will lead to a normal DNA. Now, DNA, the alterations can happen other ways. For example, the changes in the gene expression that they don't change the DNA sequence. This will affect the gene regulation, which means it will determine which genes go on and which genes go off. The tobacco breaks these processes, and it allows the tumor progression, which means it will lead to the cancer. And now I'm going to talk about the epigenetic modifications.
Go ahead.
There exist 3 epigenetic modifications, which are DNA methylation, histone post-transcriptional modifications, and non-coding gene RNAs. The DNA methylation means a methyl group is added to the DNA, and this alters the gene expression but not the DNA. This can make the gene turn on or off. This will change the behavior of the gene. The histone post-transcriptional modification, it regulates the chromatin structure, and this determines how packed and how tight is the DNA. And these modifications will change the structure of the chromatin, also leading to a change in the gene expression. Lastly, we have the non-coding RNAs, which means that the RNA will not code. Lastly, we have non-coding RNAs, which means that the RNA will not code into a certain protein, and this will lead to no protein expression.
For analysis research 1, it will be about tobacco and its contribution to cancer. Here, researchers have identified 83 carcinogens in tobacco products. A carcinogen is a substance known to promote the formation of cancer in living tissues. According to an article written by Head, 37 carcinogens are present in unburned tobacco, meaning before it is lit. Additionally, researchers have found 80 carcinogens in tobacco smoke, resulting from the burning of tobacco, which releases harmful chemicals into the air that can be inhaled. Both unburned and burned tobacco highlights health risks, emphasizing the importance of awareness and preventive measures. To the right, there is a diagram illustrating harmful chemicals found in tobacco. In the center, there is an image of a cigarette with arrows pointing to different toxic compounds found within it, along with their chemical structures. First, we see acrolein, which is a highly toxic substance over 10,000 times more toxic than formaldehyde. Second, N-nitroamines can cause reproductive damage. Third, PAH, which is a potent carcinogen, is also capable of reproductive damage. For the fourth one, which is benzene, can cause bone marrow and reproductive damage. Lastly, nicotine, which is an addictive substance present in all types of smoke that can lead to reduced sleep. Overall, this diagram highlights harmful chemicals that pose severe health risks associated with smoking.
In this slide, I will be talking about immunotherapy and its potential treatments for tobacco-induced lung cancer. Immunotherapy is a treatment method to target cancer cells and checkpoints. To recap, PD-L1 is stimulated by carcinogens like tobacco on both normal and cancer cells. PD-L1, which is short for programmed cell death ligand 1, is a protein that regulates the immune system and allows cancer cells to avoid the immune response. Specifically in smokers, there is an increased level of PD-L1 expression in comparison to non-smokers. This allows cancer cells to evade the immune system and therefore continue to proliferate and migrate without detection. PD-L1 antibodies in immunotherapeutic treatment inhibits the expression of PD-L1 and therefore exposes the cancer cells to the immune response. In a study done in mice exposed to benzoypyrene, mice that were treated with PD-L1 antibodies portrayed decreased tumor growth, while the controlled mice had developed large tumors. This discovery reveals immunotherapy with PD-L1 antibodies may be beneficial to preventing or slowing the development of lung cancer. AHR is another protein involved in the regulation of the immune response that has shown hopeful results in immunotherapy as a treatment for lung cancer. Patients with higher levels of AHR respond better to treatments like PD-L1 antibody therapy in comparison to those who have lower levels of AHR. AHR is involved in immunosuppression and regulates PD-L1 expression in cancer cells while also affecting BAP-induced tumor growth. In a study performed on mice, AHR inhibitors combined with PD-L1 antibody treatment showed an increase in immune response and a decrease in tumor proliferation. An AHR antagonist called ANF has also showed promising results when paired with PD-L1 antibody treatment. The mice in this ANF study showed a reduction in tumor cell growth, longer lifespan, and improved efficiency of the PD-L1 antibody treatment. Another study performed on mice with LLC cells demonstrated how CH223191 inhibited the AHR PD-L1 checkpoint, demonstrating its ability to inhibit AHR and consequently PD-L1 to improve immune response and prevent cancer. While these cases of how immunotherapy can serve as an effective treatment to prevent or slow the progression of lung cancer, there are still limitations to this method. The fact is that only 20 to 30% of patients given these forms of immunotherapies actually benefited and saw prevention of tumor cell growth within their bodies. Some of these patients also experienced drug resistance and mutations in the JAK1, JAK2 signaling pathways, reducing the potential efficacy immunotherapies could have provided them. To the right, I have attached a figure. The leftmost figure shows PD-L1 binding to PD-1 and inhibiting the T cell killing of the tumor cell. This shows that the T cell has the PD-1 receptor binding to the PD-L1 receptor. versus the rightmost figure showing the blocking PD-L1 or PD-1 allows T cells killing of tumor cells. So this means that when the T cell is trying to bind to the tumor cell PD-L1, the PD-L1 antibodies will actually swoop in and bind to it instead, preventing the binding of the tumor cell.
Okay. For slide 3, I'll be talking about tobacco-related cancer prevention. Tobacco-related cancer can be prevented in several ways. As mentioned previously, early detection makes treatment easier. One of the most critical preventive measures is to stop smoking, as tobacco smoke increases the likelihood of inhaling toxic substances harmful to lung cells, leading to mutations. Quitting smoking dramatically reduces the risk of developing lung cancer. It is important to note that quitting smoking might be easier for a younger individual who started recently compared to someone who has smoked for most of their life due to nicotine addiction and withdrawal anxiety. However, it is never too late to quit. Informing people about these risks is also an effective preventive method because awareness allows society to understand the consequences. Creating campaigns to increase awareness against smoking can also be beneficial. Regarding abstinence from smoking, programs exist to help individuals manage anxiety, and nicotine patches are available to reduce cravings. Social media can also serve as a valuable platform for raising awareness as more people are electronically connected to you. The government also plays a crucial role by regulating tobacco sales and designated smoking areas. Increasing tobacco taxes can also deter people from purchasing tobacco products, as higher costs encourage reconsideration before buying. Designating specific smoking areas can further reduce the risk of lung cancer in non-smokers exposed to secondhand smoke and air pollution. In summary, reducing smoking and exposure to smoke with its toxic components can significantly decrease the risk of developing lung cancer. For the graph shows that cigarette smoking rates have dropped significantly for both adults and youth over time. Adult smoking declined from 42.4% in 1965 to 11.5% in 2021. Youth smoking peaked at 36.4% in 1997 and dropped to 1.9% in 2021. Overall, smoking has decreased steadily in both groups over the years.
In conclusion, we have prepared some key takeaways from this presentation. Carcinogens are substances that promote the development of cancer, like tobacco, which contains a harmful chemical called nicotine. Smoking is a leading cause of lung cancer, and treatments include chemotherapy, immunotherapy, and surgery. Immunotherapy is a method to inhibit or activate certain proteins to prevent or decrease cancer cell proliferation and migration, like inhibition of AHR and PD-L1 antibody treatment. Combined efforts can have better results and are worth performing further studies. Tobacco's harmful components can cause errors in DNA replication, mutations in TP53, and overall damage to DNA. The disruption in normal cell regulation can cause inflammation in the cells and affects TP53 tumor suppressor and KRAS oncogenes. Environmental and other factors can affect one's susceptibility of developing cancer, like second and third hand smoke, tobacco farming, air pollution, radon, heredity, diet, and lifestyle. Epigenetic alterations are changes in the gene expression that impact gene regulation. These modifications include DNA methylation, histone alterations, and non-coding RNAs. Lastly, prevention efforts include stopping smoking, reducing smoking, substitution, counseling, spreading awareness, and implementing regulations and policies to prevent public use or taxation. Overall, that was our presentation, and we have included at the bottom one of our primary sources, as well as on the next slide, the Wang article for our second primary source. Thank you for watching our presentation. We hope you enjoyed it.